4 from your program. We will have a short intermission after this. Creating a new government, 1787. What many people don't realize is that there was a span of 11 years from the signing of the Declaration of Independence to the signing of the Constitution. During that time, America was governed under the Articles of Confederation, which basically recognized the 13 states as sovereign countries, held loosely together through the Articles. Each state had its own currency, its own military, its own laws, constitution, and system of taxes, tariffs, and trade agreements. The Congress could ask for tax revenue or soldiers, but it had no power to require them. To say it was unyielding and difficult would be an understatement, and it was soon clear that some revisions to the Articles would be necessary. Congress of the Confederation members, Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, called for a convention to discuss changes, and most importantly, urged General Washington to attend. The convention was held in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787, and the result was not a revision of the Articles, but an entirely new document, creating a federal government with executive, legislative, and judicial branches. The new Constitution had to be ratified by at least 9 of the 13 states before it could go into effect, and the outcome was not certain, particularly in the largest states of New York and Virginia. In order to convince the public to support the new document, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay wrote a series of essays and published them anonymously to help reassure the people about the Constitution. These essays would come to be known as the Federalist Papers. While there are many noteworthy passages contained in the documents, I have included a section of Federalist Number 1 written by Alexander Hamilton because it summarized what was at stake. While the Constitution was being written and then debated in the legislature, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams were in Europe. Adams serving as minister to Great Britain and Jefferson as minister to France. When Jefferson receives a copy of the proposed Constitution, he writes a letter to a friend expressing his concern. This is the letter containing his famous Tree of Liberty quote, and I wanted to include it here in its entirety.
Alexander Hamilton, the Federalist Number 1, New York, October 27, 1787. To the people of the state of New York, after an unequivocal experience in the inefficacy of the subsisting federal government, you are called upon to deliberate on a new Constitution for the United States of America. The subject speaks of its own importance, comprehending in its consequences nothing less than the existence of the Union, the safety and the welfare of parts of which is composed, the fate of an empire, in many respects the most interesting in the world. It has been frequently remarked that it seems to have been reserved to the people of this country, by their conduct and example, to decide the important question whether societies of men are really capable or not of establishing good government for reflection and choice, or whether they are forever destined to depend for their political constitutions on accident and force. If there be any truth in the remark, the crisis at which we are arrived may with propriety be regarded as the era in which that decision is to be made. A wrong election of the part we shall act may, in this view, deserve to be considered as the general misfortune of mankind.
Thomas Jefferson to William Stephen Smith, Paris, November 13th, 1787. Dear Sir, I do not know whether it is to yourself or Mr. Adams I am to give my thanks for the copy of the new Constitution. I beg leave through you to place them where due. It will be yet 3 weeks before I shall receive them from America, and there are very good articles in it, and very bad. I do not know which preponderate. What we have lately read in the history of Holland would have sufficed to set me against a chief magistrate eligible for a long duration, if I had ever been disposed towards one. And what we have always read of the election of Polish kings should have forever excluded the idea of one continuable for life. Wonderful is the effect of impudent and persevering lying. The British ministry have so long hired their gazetteers to repeat and model into every form lies about our being in anarchy, that the world has at length believed them, the English nation has believed them, the ministers themselves have come to believe them, and what is more wonderful, we have believed them ourselves. Yet where does this anarchy exist? Where did it ever exist, except in the single instance of Massachusetts? And can history produce an instance of a rebellion so honorably conducted? I say nothing of its motives. They were founded in ignorance, not wickedness. God forbid we should ever be 20 years without such a rebellion. The people cannot be all and always well informed. The part which is wrong will be discontented in proportion to the importance of the facts they misconceive. If they remain quiet under such misconceptions, it is a lethargy, the forerunner of death to the public library. We have had 13 states independent 11 years. There has been one rebellion. That comes to one rebellion in a century and a half for each state. What country before ever existed a century and a half without a rebellion? And what country can preserve its liberties if their rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. The remedy is to set them right as to facts, pardon and pacify them. What does signify a few lives lost in a century or two? The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure. Our convention has been too much impressed by the insurrection of Massachusetts, and in the spur of the moment they are setting up a kite to keep the hen yard in order. I hope in God this article will be rectified before the new Constitution is accepted. Present my respects to Mrs. Smith, and be assured of the sincere esteem of dear sir, your friend and servant, Thomas Jefferson.